At the start of your business journey, it can be a really lonely path. It's where you're everything. You're the marketing director, you're the sales manager, you're putting out the rubbish, you are making the coffee, and you're doing everything else in between. It can be really lonely, it can be overwhelming, and then sometimes it can feel a real struggle because you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know what you need, if I could get my words out today. Okay, so it means that you're searching for all the answers, and that could be really tiresome, which is why I decided to start these interviews with my go-to experts, so that I can bring those light bulb moments that will help you on a journey of discovery that's right for you, that might give you that golden nugget or insight that you need. Now, my name is Lindsey, and I'm an intuitive business coach, and I work with ambitious women in business, helping them to create financial abundance and a time-rich lifestyle. But I do not want to talk anymore about me, because I am so excited, because I have Jaime Blair with me today. Oh, I can't wait to get into this conversation. But before we do that, let me tell everyone a little bit about you, Jaime. And let me just say, we met on LinkedIn. We had a few conversations. You were in one country and now you're in another, but more about that in a moment. Jaime, you are a website copywriter and brand clarity coach for coaches. You help write websites that make your clients stand out, let their uniqueness and personality shine through, and most importantly, demonstrate the power of the transformation they get for their clients without relying on overused, squishy, transformational language, which really made me smile. And you host a free online networking event for ambitious coaches, creatives, and entrepreneurial misfits. Sorry, no guys allowed. I love that little bit that you put in brackets. So hopefully we get a chance to talk about that, Jaime. But I mentioned there that we met on LinkedIn, and then I mentioned that you were in one country and you are now in another country. And I always ask everyone I interview for sort of it can be a work in progress title, I like to think of it, but yours was, let me find, I need to get the right piece of paper so I read it correctly. And now I don't know what I've done with it, Jaime. Here it is. The key ingredient to going after the life you want. Now, there is a bit in brackets, but I don't want to touch on that bit. Jaime, what happened? Where were you? Where are you? Why have you taken this courageous step? And what have you learned along the way, I guess, are the questions I've got so far.
Okay, well, that's nothing.
The floor is yours.
Well, as far as the background goes, I spent probably the last 6 or 7 of the past 10 years living in Panama, in different parts of it. And I love living abroad. It absolutely lights me up because I like challenges built into my day. Like, I don't really like to go out and struggle, but I like for things to be interesting. I think it kind of keeps you sharp and keeps you engaged with your environment. So like, I don't want to jump out of a plane, but I want my grocery shopping to be like a hero's journey every time I go. It keeps things interesting. And I also really like exploring different cultures and just seeing how other people do life. Yeah. So at the end of 2020, after I was locked in Panama for all of the pandemic, the borders were actually locked before we could get out. I moved back to the US and to Savannah, Georgia, where my family was, and kind of regrouped. And as soon as I got there, I knew that I was ready to go again. But I needed, I have my own business. I needed to get all that shored up. And I've spent so much time in Latin America that I really have my heart set on moving to Europe. And I was obsessed with the idea of moving to Italy. So I spent the past 2.5 years just growing my business and creating really successful and solid foundation. And I think it was about a year ago, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to move to Europe. And I was trying to figure out where I wanted to go. And in Italy, love it. We'll go there someday, but isn't quite as easy to just move to as some other places. So a friend recommended Malta, which is, because nobody knows where Malta is, it is between the tip of Italy, Sicily, and North Africa. So it's like right in the middle of the Mediterranean. I don't know this for a fact, but I think I heard something yesterday that's 17 miles across. I mean, it's tiny. It's a little rock.
It is tiny.
But the thing about it is they have an amazing digital nomad visa.
They do.
So if you work online for yourself or you're a remote worker, you can apply for a year-long visa. It's like $300. And so far, the process has been super, super simple. English is one of the official languages, which is, it's not a prerequisite, but it does and has made things a little easier. And it's small and doable, and they have great infrastructure. So it really made working from anywhere really feasible. So that's kind of the background. So I had this idea in my head, and I just, moving across the world by yourself, because I'm on my own, is a big undertaking. And so I didn't come together as quickly as I'd liked. And, like I said, I run my own business, so you have all that to do. And then in March, my landlord, my apartment said, you have to re-sign your lease for a year. And when he said that, I actually felt like something was dying inside of me. I was like, I don't want to do this for another year. Like there's this thing I want. There's this life that I want that's not here so bad. And so I had a choice. I could either, stay for another year, which would have been the responsible thing to do, save
Very grown up.
The grown up thing to do. Or I could get it together in 8 weeks and move across the world. So I chose to just get it together. And so I gave my notice to my apartment, and I just made the decision that there is no plan B. And I kept telling my friend, I was like, this is just what we're doing. This is just what's happening. And I just decided, and not just mentally decided, but decided with every cell in my body that this is what was going to happen. And I pulled it off. And that's the abbreviated version of that part. But you can ask me questions, we can elaborate on that. But that was sort of the background to how I got from the US to Malta in quick time.
There were a couple of words that came, that was why I was grabbing my pen, so I didn't want to forget them. But you used the word, at one point you said, I haven't figured it all out. And I wonder if that is half the challenge for so many people, that we're so busy trying to figure it all out, we miss the opportunities. And the opportunity in the moment, because the other word I wrote down was moment. The moment for you is when your landlord says, I need you to sign another lease. Yeah. And that was your moment to be able to go, okay, what is it I really, really want? And what do I want to do? Because this is my moment. And you still didn't really have it figured out. You just went, okay, now I need to figure it out. But I don't know if you see that maybe with some of your clients, but it feels like in business, we just want to figure everything out. We just need to know how it's all going to work. We just need to know, that all our ducks are in a row, beautifully dressed, and everything's going to be great. But that's not the adventure, is it?
No, not at all. And I mean, there has to be I think you have to have a solid foundation in business. And like we were speaking about before, personal development work. You have to have done a lot of work to be able to trust yourself and to believe in yourself that you can do it, which is going to be the big thing that we talk about. But, and have the foundation in your business where that even if you don't have everything you need yet, you know what to do to make that happen.
You talk about trust there. What do you think trust looks like? Because I know that we're, as a business, you just have to trust yourself. You just have to trust that the money's coming. You just have to trust that the clients are coming. And you've mentioned there about the development, the work, the self-development, the work we have to do on ourselves. But how do people get that trust? How did you know in your heart of hearts that this is what you had to do and it was going to be okay?
I think, the personal development work, for a couple years prior to that, I think helped peel away a lot of those layers, and just consistently taking risks and taking actions and falling on my face and picking myself back up again and coming to that realization that no matter what I do and no matter what I try, I am going to be okay. And I remember I was talking to one of my mentors before when I was making this decision to move, and I was like, oh my gosh, what if I fail spectacularly? And she was like, have you ever failed spectacularly at anything? And I was like, no, not really. And she's like, and what does that even mean? Like,
Yeah.
what does it even mean? So I think that having that self-trust is knowing that you have the tools and the resources, knowing that you have the experience to figure it out on the fly. Because yeah, like you said, we don't have it all. You're never going to have it all mapped out. And that's not having all of your ducks in a row, all neatly dressed, isn't what's going to make you successful. It's knowing how to navigate the hard stuff and not being scared of the hard stuff, because adventure wouldn't be adventure if it was easy.
No. And you said that at the beginning, that it hasn't, moving to Malta, it hasn't been easy. And
a nightmare.
I know there's been some weird stuff. I mean, you've had exploding coffee pots, leaks that you didn't even know were leaks or your responsibility. I mean, it's been quite crazy. And you moved your cat, and your cat wasn't very well. So, you've been going with it. And we talk about this being the adventure, and we talk about trust and belief and figuring it out as you go. And I think sometimes it just feels so big for people. And your journey is a really good example of how each time something came out, you just sat down and tried to figure it out and worked out what the next step. And it's only ever taking the first step, because then the next one naturally appears. You kind of work from one to the next, and before you know it, you're leaping.
Exactly. And it does, it is just about that one step at a time, and not needing to know what it looks like, 3 or 4 steps down the road, because you have no control over that. And so it's this weird balance of completely surrendering and letting go of everything you think and going with the flow, but at the same time, not ever being complacent or stagnant. It's being ready for action, doing what you have to do, figuring things out. It's a very high energy experience, but at the same time, there is that element of not trying to control everything, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. And you've used that word action, and we do need to take the action. We were laughing and joking before I pressed record, and I was saying, you can't have the woo without the do. And it doesn't matter how many affirmations you say in the mirror, if you're not taking the action, nothing's going to change. Or I mean, it might do, I don't know. Feel free to, anybody out there that's just sat and manifested something without taking any action, I'd love to know. But I think that's important, that it's about having the courage to take the first action. And the other thing I wanted to pick up on there, actually, is you said that one of your mentors has said, have you ever failed spectacularly? You're like, no. Too often, I think we're looking for the evidence to show us that why we can't do something, shouldn't do something.
Oh, I love that. So good, because that's true. We're always looking for that story to reinforce why it's not going to work out. Yeah. When instead, if you obviously tell yourself a better story, reinforce why it would work out. One of the things that really surprised me is I thought that I was just going to get grief from everybody about what I was choosing to do. I thought it was people were going to think I was, irresponsible, that I was, just irresponsible comes out. I have a thing with responsibility. Yeah. But I just thought that, this is such a big move, and I'm not fully prepared for it. And everyone's going to kind of turn on me. Just this absolutely stupid story I told in my head, when just the opposite. Like, I cannot even believe how people have come out in droves to be supportive and want to know more. And even my mom came around. I joke that I told the mailman before I told my mom. Everyone in my entire world, in my networking group, my email list, the postman.
Not your mom.
Everyone knew it before my mom, because I knew that she would be upset about it, and rightfully so. I mean, that's, even though I'm 45 years old, she, I'm still her kid, and she doesn't, it's, kind of big move. But yeah, I had this in my head that, no one would think it was a good idea, but everyone's like, oh, tell me more. Like, you've inspired me to do something now. And that is just a huge, huge lesson.
There's something really fascinating there, in that you had all these feelings, you had created all these stories. And I'm sat here thinking, why would she think that? Because compared to moving to Panama, I think going to Malta is a really safe option. I'm like, which part of you is thinking that people wouldn't want you to go to somewhere which is stunning and beautiful, and they speak the same language, and they're going to take care of you, and it's I've been, and I know what a wonderful place it is. I'm like, why would you think? But that's just so interesting, isn't it? Then it doesn't matter how strong a mindset you have. It doesn't really matter how much work you've done. Those old habits, those old thoughts can come back, and bite you. And it's fascinating that you were going, no, I don't think we're going to, then no one's going to think it was a good idea.
You know what was different about this versus Panama, which we don't want to get too far on a tangent here, but I wasn't alone. I was with my then husband. And because you're with a man, then, it's a different thing. And especially like for like my mom, like, oh, well, you weren't alone. Like the places I lived in Panama were way sketchier than, this like townhouse I live in Malta. Yeah. Totally different scenario, but I was with somebody else. I was with my partner. So that has that idea that like baked in safety.
Yeah. We could talk a lot about that, actually.
Yeah, I don't want to get us off on that, but for another time.
But isn't that interesting as well? I don't know how many times I've said interesting, but because I'd start these conversations and I never know where they're going to go.
Because it's the self-trust, right? It's that taking that other element away. Like I know, and like I've made some decisions here where I'm like, there is no one to confer with. Like there's no one for whose opinion I can get, because nobody else's life is impacted but mine. And that's a very different way of being than if you have somebody and you're like, well, what do you think we should do? What should we do? How is this going to affect them? What do you want? It's like, no, this is all on me. Like 100%. And that's a different vibe entirely.
I know you wanted to go, and it was kind of there, wasn't it? You didn't wake up one morning and go, I'm going. You were playing with this thought of being somewhere else. It was the vision, if you like. I'm just wondering then, what is it that was driving you? What is it that you wanted to experience? And I think we talk about nomadic lifestyle for business owners, and it can be made to look very glamorous, and we're all lying on the beach and we're with your computers out and money's just flowing in overnight and everything's grand, which I'm not quite sure that's a very idealistic view, and I'm sure it's not that easy. Well, we know it's not that easy. Well, what was driving you? Because in my coaching business, when I'm talking to my coaching clients, I talk about the spiky, uncomfortable comfort zone. And I always say, the magic does not happen here. We need to step out of that. So what was driving you to go, oh, I want to try something different. I want to throw caution to the wind. Where was that coming from? And is that a very personal thing, or was it as much about the business? I'm intrigued to know where that links with the business, and what was driving you to pack your bags, pick up your cat, and head off.
Okay, well, so that's two parts. As far as getting me to go, it was this deepest intuition in my gut. It was this absolute knowing that is what I wanted to do. That is what I was supposed to do, almost, without getting like too far into that.
Yeah.
But the thing about it was my life was really nice. I had a great apartment. Savannah, Georgia, for anyone who's never been, is one of the most gorgeous cities in the United States. I mean, it's fantastic. I lived downtown. I could walk everywhere. My parents were there. My sister's there. My nephew's there. Everything was fine. It was fine. And there was just something that would not leave me alone, that said, this is fine, but it's not enough. Like, you need to do something more. You need to go after this thing that you want. And that voice just became unbearable. Like it just became unbearable. Like this is just not where I'm supposed to be. And I think really listening to, and it's back to like the self-trust, listening to your intuition and really knowing that when something feels off, that it's not what you're supposed to be doing. And that is what really pushed me. And as far as the business is concerned, it's interesting because I about a year ago, I pivoted from doing more business coaching because I've always been a copywriter. And then I started doing business coaching. And then about a year ago, I pivoted back into what I've always done before, which is the copywriting and the brand clarity stuff, because that's just really where my heart is. And it's what naturally comes out of me. It's what I love. But there was always some restlessness there. Like I never quite felt like everything was where it was supposed to be. And things felt harder than they needed to be. And I think it was because I needed this. Like there was a piece of me that was so big that needed to be fulfilled. There was this, need for me to explore someplace else, to be immersed in a different place, in a different culture. And with that kind of hole inside of me that I wasn't getting fulfilled, I was turning all my focus on my business and looking for it there. And so I was putting a lot of undue pressure and complication that didn't need to be there. Because I was like, well, how can I make my business fulfill every aspect of my life? Which is not a good way to do it. So, and as soon as I made that switch that I'm doing this, everything fell into place. Like clients who were coming back from months before, like people were calling me out of the blue. It was insane. Like my calendar filled up within weeks. And I really do, on like a more energetic level, credit it with that. I mean, yeah, obviously I've been doing, I do my job and I'm consistent, and, I do the thing. So it's not like I didn't manifest it, but I think that when I put my life in order on the trajectory it was supposed to go, everything sort of fell into place to support that.
There's a couple of things I wrote down then. So you said it was fine. It was nice. It was easy. I'm not sure if you used the word, but it felt like, it was easy, it was good. And then there's this thing within you was saying, this is not enough. And I'm just wondering how many people out there go, know intuitively, know in the pit of their stomach that what they have is not enough, but decide to settle for not enough because they lack the courage, the trust to go after it. But I also wonder if sometimes people don't know I don't know what I'm going after is, where for you were really clear. You had this vision.
And you have to be. Like, that's the thing. Like, this doesn't happen overnight. Like, you have to build the self-trust. You have to build some sort of foundation, and you have to know what that thing is that you want and own that you want it. Like I was saying, that I thought everyone would think I was crazy, but then I went ahead and did it anyway. And I think a lot of times we feel weird about what we want. We feel like it's, especially, as women and, and I, like I said, mid-40s, no kids, divorced, dragging a cat across the world. Like that's not, people might judge, but
why would they judge?
They shouldn't. But there is that social conditioning in us. Like that's not what you should be thinking about. That's not what you should be going after. And so I think it's not just identifying what you want, it's coming to terms with it and owning it and really making it, you have to be obsessed with it too. Like that's another thing. Like I think to whatever, and a lot of this could be about business too. Like, if it's a business you want to start or something like that, I mean, it doesn't have to be where you live. It's anything that you want. You have to want it more than anything else to really put yourself in that very uncomfortable zone where it's just like trust fall on repeat.
And it's willing to try. I caught, it's interesting that you're a copywriter. A recent post I put out was saying, I'm always ready. Are you ready? Are you ready? And actually, that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking, are you willing? Because you need to be willing to do the work, willing to try something different, willing to go that extra mile, willing to throw caution out of, up in the air and arms in the air and do something really crazy and out there. And it's that willingness to try. And that's really what you're talking about, is willing to put all your eggs in, but not all your eggs in one basket. That's the wrong phrase, but it's willing to go, this is what I want, and I'm going to go after it. And I may not have it all figured out, and I may not know what it's going to look like at the end, but I know that the first step is, and then taking that first step.
Yes, absolutely. And we were talking earlier about manifesting and my ideas about manifesting.
I know. Go for it.
People are going to hate me for this one, but I do not like the idea of manifesting the way that it's taught to us. I think it is like spiritual gaslighting. We are told that not only do you have to have what you want so clear, but then you have to keep your energy good. And you have to be like perfect in alignment with this thing oh my gosh, how are you supposed to get anything? And then you just sit and receive. Like, no, that's just simply not how, maybe it works for some people. That's definitely not how things work for me. I think that the idea of, but where I think there kind of is an overlap is the part where you believe you just decide. Like, that's what they say about manifesting. Like, oh, you have to believe you already have it. Well, you can't, because you don't have it. Like, that's just, I've never gotten that. It's like, I don't have it. So, and I can be delusional, but like, that's too delusional for me. But when you decide, like, this is what is I'm going to get this thing, and I'm going to marshal all of my energy, all of my resources to do it. And I don't think it's the pre-belief that you already have it. I think it's belief that you're going to get there. And that belief and that certainty is the energy that propels you to show up. Because it's not, there's days when you're going to feel like absolute shit, and you're not going to be in a good frame of mind, and you're not going to be all energetically sparkly. You're going to be a hot mess. But it's that you keep showing up, having that willingness to show up every single day and do what it takes. And that's especially for business. And that's definitely been my experience with business is, yeah, you just got to keep showing up relentlessly.
Yeah. And Angie, I think then you need to have those people around you that are supporting you and cheering you on and wanting you to be successful. And I really feel that you have this amazing ability to show what is possible, both personally and in business. And I think what the reason I loved you, and I had to do this interview with you, when you just connect with someone through words on LinkedIn, that's powerful. When you take that conversation into the message box and you continue that conversation, that's powerful. But I also now know you better and have known you a bit longer. And I know that's just how you work. You show up, you do the work, you have a process, you follow it. And sometimes you meet great people. And I guess sometimes it doesn't work out, but it's about just keep doing it. And it's about that willingness. And I guess we've used a lot of those words around trust and belief and willingness. And it is about finding your way. I guess that's the other thing I'd like to add, whether it's in life or in business. Don't think that there is one path. Don't think that there is one blueprint or one formula. And you've got to find your own way in that. Yeah. Would you agree?
100%. And like I was saying before about owning what you want, you have to find your own way. And then just be comfortable with whatever your journey looks like and not comparing yourself to everybody else, because you're going to sometimes be way behind everybody and you're going to be sometimes way in front of everybody, and everybody is everywhere. So it's just accepting that you are making your own rules. And that's a lot of responsibility to make your own rules. It's not glamorous at all. Like, making your own rules is a lot of work. Like, being your own authority is not even leaning on someone, that would imply support, but not giving your power away to someone else for them to tell you that it's okay. You don't need permission from anybody to do anything.
No, and actually that stepping from or in from wherever the place that you're at, and then stepping into that place where you are deciding what it is that you want and deciding that you are willing to try. That's empowering. That's powerful. And that is the creating, I think, the belief and the trust that you need to keep moving forward. And in doing so, you will keep seeing examples of how incredible you are. You will keep seeing examples of why you were on the right track. And that's that place that we want people to be in, isn't it? In life and in business, we want people to be willing to try, to trust themselves enough. But it does start with that decision, and you're absolutely right. We have to decide. And one of the things I talk about with some of my clients is, don't come to me when you're just worn down and done with everything and you can't cope. Decide before then that you need to come and work with me. We'll get rid of all the stuff that you're really done with, but that may help some get clarity on what it is that they do want. When you decide what it is that you are done with, you're no longer willing to settle or put up with, that will help you to gain the clarity that you need of what it is that you do want in your life or in your business or in your world. And I don't know how that sits with you.
Absolutely. And what popped in my head when you were saying that is a lot of, I hear a lot of people, and this is in business, say, oh, sales feel icky, marketing feels icky. And at points in my past, I've said those things too. But we all have. But I think that that's when you really want it bad enough, when you want what you're doing, when you want to accomplish whatever goal that is, then you stop thinking like that. Like, I'll be on calls, well, I don't know what to do. You lose that kind of energy, that worn down, like, oh, this is hard. No, screw it. It is hard. And you just keep going. It's hard. And you just keep showing up. And when it doesn't work, you think of new ways. You think how to show up differently, but you don't let these fears of what other people, because the only reason we think sales and marketing are icky and blah is because we're afraid that people are going to reject us and not like us,
and think we're icky and horrible and blah,
and think that we're icky and horrible, I love the word I love that you use the word ambitious in your messaging, because and that word, and I've written about this before, and I used to have a big problem with that word because a long time ago, because I thought, well, that's just pushy. Now it's like, screw it. Like, I'm ambitious as hell. Like, I want the things that I want, not because I'm, a jerk. It's because there's an amazing life available to all of us. And if you aren't ambitious enough to get it, then you're not ever going to get it. So.
No, and I think the other thing is just that's coming up for me there is your dream and your ambitions, don't compare them to somebody else's. And it might be that your journey may need to be longer because of your responsibilities, and be okay with that. And I think there is a lot of comparison that goes on. And actually, you can get to 8 figures in 3 months, or be a millionaire in 12 weeks, if you want to do that thing and you can give it the time and the effort and you don't have the responsibilities or whatever, go for it, and go for it with everything you've got. If you want those things and you have a different environment to work within, be okay that it might be taking a bit longer. But as long as you're willing and as long as you're all in, you'll get there.
Yeah. And I like what you just said, because I think that we all get sucked into this like mega entrepreneur mindset where it has to be like, 6, 7, 8 figures. And I know I'm susceptible because I'm, single on my own, whatever. I tend to overwork and, do all the things. But it's okay to want to have a successful business, but also want more to have a fun life. Like, that's the thing, that it's not about like, everything being all your business all the time and, reaching these great pinnacles. It's about your life and what you're doing every day and how your business can support that. Maybe your business is everything that you've dreamed of. Like, maybe that is where, like, deep inside you put your creativity, you put your energy, and that's what your goals are. But I think for most of us, we just feel like we can't get anything done unless we give it all to that. So like I said, once I kind of acknowledged that maybe I needed to live my life a little bit, business actually came to meet me. It's like, oh, cool. Now we're going to do something that's actually fun. Yeah, this is going to work better. It's going to be easier. It's going to be simpler. So yeah, we get obsessed with what everyone, what basically social media ads tell us that we should be wanting.
Exactly. And we should all be working 21 hours a day. Yeah. Life is here.
Or get to be a millionaire just working 3 hours a day.
And that's the problem. There's conflicting messages all the time. And you alluded to that already, that, you were using your business to fulfill your life. And actually, life is for living. And we can love, we all love what we do. If you ask any, business owner, they're going to tell you that they love what they do and they don't mind working all the hours because we love what we do. But actually, there is an incredible world out there. There is an incredible life for us to live, and our businesses should enable us, should be the vehicles for us to do that. They shouldn't prevent us from living the life that, we've been gifted, and it's a very special gift that we have been given.
I love that.
We have covered a lot of ground.
Yes, we have it. Lightning speed.
Yeah, we're good at this. We're good at this. But I always like to ask everyone, if you had to start your business again, what one thing would you do if you had to start from scratch? And on here, you wrote that you would go all in growing your email list from day one. And I'm so there with you. So there with you right there saying, yep, I wish I'd done that too.
And my business coach has been telling me for 2+ years, you need to grow your list. You need to grow your list. You need to grow. Oh, yeah, I am. But first I need to, I'm more focused on this, but I love emailing. Like, as a writer, emailing is a great way to connect with your community. And it's actually been super fun as I've been here and telling stories about moving to Malta and like all like trials and tribulations and like the fun stuff too. The response from people has been incredible, like through email, because you can create such intimate connections with people. And so, and also when you go to sell something, it's you have more people like, hey, I'm doing a thing. Do you want in? Yeah. And so it just makes everything easier. And it's your territory. I'm rubbish at social media. Like, I might post on LinkedIn like once a month. I'm terrible at it. I maybe post an Instagram story, like, well, the same. And I'm not even on Facebook. So like everything that I've done to reach out to people in that way is through email and through my networking group.
And I think we should mention our networking group. So tell us a little bit more about that, because I will make sure that we get a mention and put all the links to everything within the description below this video. But tell us a little bit more about that networking group.
Yeah. And so I think that's how we met, is through me just cold outreaching you, inviting you to my networking group. And that's been one of the coolest things about it, is it's a great way to approach for cold outreach, because you're not asking someone for something. You're not, saying, hey, do you want my offer? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, I don't even know you. It's like, hey, do you want to come to my party? It's free. You're invited. And people are like, sure. And I say that it's fun and it doesn't suck. People are like, oh, I like things that don't suck. Sure, I'll come to your thing. And I've been doing it for about 1.5 years now. It's every week, do it once a week. And it's great. Like, we get probably 20, sometimes up to 30 people every week. And it's been such an amazing community building process. There's no groups to join. There's no like outside thing. It's just people show up week after week. There's always new people. People are bringing friends, and we do like 20-minute breakout rooms with like 3 or 4 people. And it's so fun to watch people really build connections, because everyone says like, oh, build relationships first, then do business. I don't believe in that. I think that you can do them at the same time. So I'm really big. Absolutely.
That's a whole nother interview right there.
That's a whole, yeah, like when I go to a networking thing and they're like, oh, no business, we're just going to make friends. I'm like, I don't have time for this. Like, this is the work day.
Yeah,
like,
I know what you mean.
I'm going to make, like, I have friends like that. I can make friends. Like, that's not a problem. But what happens, like in my group, is I tell everyone, okay, in 2 minutes or less, so people don't go on all day. Like, tell us, who you serve, what big problem you solve for them, and how can we support you? Like, I want to know how I can help you. Do you need clients? Do you need podcast opportunities? Do you have a problem that you need to talk out? And so it's about business. Like, I want to, and I want to know, and I also on the calls a lot, because I can't help myself, coach people on how to talk about what they do and ask questions like, because I want to know how to refer you. Like, and I think that being able to refer people and being referable yourself is, especially if you don't want to do tons of social media marketing and stuff, is absolutely essential, 100% essential. So, but then in the rooms, in the calls, people make friends. People start working together. People connect offline. Like we have a directory where everyone can go and look each other up. And so just by showing up and just being nice, cool people and talking about your businesses, because we are all obsessed with our businesses, and you can't separate the two, especially when you're in a business networking environment, then everyone gets to learn about each other and, say, oh, I really like the way you said that. Last time I heard you say it, it wasn't quite clear, but this time I think you've gotten a lot of clarity, or, oh, I need that thing, or, oh, you would be perfect for so-and-so. And it's very natural. It's not a pitch fest, but I want to know exactly what you do and how I can help you to support your business. So it's fun.
And I can see how why you think that you can network and build communities and sell all at the same time, because it becomes part of you. It's not separate from you.
Yes. And I always tell people when they're like, oh, I'm just about selling, blah, blah. And like I said, I had to learn this the hard way, is when you're so excited about what you do, when you believe in what you do, like you think what you do is a gift and you see how you can help people, and you're saying like, oh my gosh, what your problem is exactly what I solve, then it's not a bad thing. Like, you should be helping people. You should be giving your gift. It's generous. And the exchange of money, well, because we're businesses, like that's, we're not, it's not like, you're my neighbor and I'm helping you out. Like, we're in business. So of course there's going to be some exchange of revenue, but
and I always say that you have a right and responsibility to market, to promote your services and offers, because otherwise your potential client remains stuck, searching, floundering, and waiting for you to show up.
yes. And think about all the mentors that we've had that came at just the right time, and we got their message at just the right time. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful for that. And we are that to our ideal clients.
And I've signed up with plenty of people that I hardly know at all. They've just hit my inbox and I've gone, oh my God, I need that thing.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I don't really believe in the like 27 touches before people necessarily.
No, I'm not that person. I'm the best funnel jumper you will ever meet. And I was described that as from a business coach I worked with once. She said, Lindsey missed all these steps and went straight to the mastermind. She didn't bother with any of this.
Well,
I was all in. But that's good, that's good communication. That's good connection. That's somebody who's built a relationship through an email. You have been absolutely fabulous to speak to today. Now, I'm just looking down, but I guess the quickest way and the fastest way to find out anything about you is jamieblair.com. Is that right?
Yes, that's JAIME BLAIR.
Perfect. And I will make sure that all those links are below, both for the Goldilocks networking. Why is it called Goldilocks?
Because so I run Goldilocks with my best friend, who's also in business, and we were trying to come up for a name with it. She kept giving me suggestions, and I was being a total pain in the ass. And I was like, no, I don't like that. No, that doesn't quite sit right. No, I just wouldn't accept anything. And I said, fine, you know what? If I don't come up with something by Tuesday, we'll just call it Goldilocks. And Tuesday came and went. And I was like, maybe that's kind of a fun name. And it stuck.
So that's why it's Goldilocks. So I will put links below to Goldilocks networking, also to your Instagram account, your LinkedIn account, and of course, jamieblair.com, so that everyone can find you very, very quickly and easily. You have been an absolute pleasure today.
So much fun talking to you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.